Do you set your goals at the beginning of every year and build a plan for the entire year? My business coach has a saying, and he says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, what we're going to do today is that we're going to go through a workshop that I run with my clients every single year at about this time of the year. This is December right now, really close to Christmas right now, actually. And so this is something that I go through with every single one of my clients because I've found in the past 20 plus years of working with small businesses that very few of them actually set goals. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through our goal setting workshop. I'm not exactly sure how long this is going to take as we go through this because this typically takes a couple of hours at least to go through with each of my clients. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. My name is Chris Hunter, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer for roofingsites.com. I am also the author of The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. In this video, we're going to go through really how we're going to line out our goals for the next year for 2023 right now is when we are creating this video. And where this came from is really from Entrepreneur's Operating System. And if you don't know what EOS is, it's a system built by a man named Gino Wickman that has helped dramatically change for the better a lot of companies. Okay. And one of the big portions of EOS is what they call the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer. So what we're going to go through is a small part of that, what I call the Marketing Traction Organizer. And this is something that I go through with every incoming client, as well as every client as we hit the end of the year or the beginning of the year, and we set out all of the goals for the next year, the next quarter, actually, the next year, the next 3 years, and really that your big 5 to 10-year moonshot, right? Because believe it or not, most people just don't know really where they're going. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. What is goal setting? All right. So we have a few rules here. The very first thing that we want to go over are we want to reflect really on this past year. In 2022, how did things go? What worked? What didn't work? What needs to change? These are all things that you need to go through with your leadership team. And this is typically with your ops manager, your sales and marketing manager, your admin and human resources and accounting staff. All of these make up or should make up your admin team. Okay. So, and this is the exact thing that you should go through with them. All right. The next thing is, what is a SMART goal? We're going to be working on SMART goals, right? And SMART goals are very easy, and it's an acronym, SMART. S is for specific, making sure that we are actually very, very specific with our goals, right? We don't just generally say we're going to, double the size of our company. All right. We want to make sure that it's measurable. Okay. That's what the M stands for. That we want to make sure that, how do we know when we get to where we're wanting to go if it's just this nebulous, goal, which is what most entrepreneurs set for themselves and really have lined out. So we want to make sure it's specific, measurable. A is for attainable. We want to make sure that we can actually hit that goal, right? Do we want to, triple the size of our company? That might or might not be attainable. Okay. So we want to make sure that we can actually do what we set out to do. R, realistic. Again, is it what we are doing realistic? Okay. And then T stands for timely. We always want to attach a date to any goal that we set. Okay. So SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So we are looking at the Marketing Traction Organizer. This is something that I go through with every single client at the beginning or end of the year. Typically at the very beginning, when we start a relationship, we set a few of these things out already. Okay. So we always want to attach a date to our document because we want to be able to look back over time. Right now it is December 21st, 2022. And what I plan to do to kind of show you how to fill this thing out and really how to work this is that we're going to go through a fictitious company, and I'm going to call them Acme Roofing, right? For lack of a better term. Okay. All right. So When I talked with Acme Roofing, right, we decided that their BHAG, their big, hairy, audacious goal, this is your 5 to 10 year moonshot. Okay. They decided that they want to do 2,000 roof replacements per year by December 31st, 2027. That's 5 years from now. Okay. And this, by the way, is going to 10x their current company to a $30 million company. Okay. So they're currently at $3 million and they want to get to $30 million. So we have to build a roadmap in order to get there. Right. All right. So the first step after we set this BHAG, this big, hairy, audacious goal, the moon shot, the 5 to 10 year shot, the next step is to set your 3-year picture. And what I like to do when I'm going through this goal setting workshop is that I like to fill out this very top part over here first, and then go through and start filling out from left to right. All right. How exactly that we're going to achieve what they want to achieve. Okay. So very first part was the future date in 3 years from now. I always use the end of the year, December 31st, as that future date. And so we set it as 12/31/2025. That's 3 years from now. Okay. Annual revenue, what they'd like to be at by that point to get them on track to this $30 million range is $15 million. Okay. So that means that in the next 2 years, they have to double the size of their company in between 2025 and 2027. Okay. Profit. This is something that a lot of people, struggle with. They're not quite sure what to put here. I'd like a general rule of thumb of, a 20% profit margin. Okay. So we're going to put 20% of that $15 million is 3 million. And then the measurables is kind of easy. We base this off of, 1,000 roof replacements, that, with a $10,000 roof replacement average. Okay. This might go up or down depending on, your average. Every company is a little bit different. Every market is a little bit different. So, this can obviously go up and down. All right. The next step after we have this all lined out is to look at our 1-year plan. Okay. So when we're backtracking, okay, where do we need to be, 2 years prior to that over here? Right. Well, the date is pretty easy. That's 12/31/2023. Okay. And then so where they wanted to be in annual revenue, all right, is $6 million by 1 year. So they're good. So in 1 year's time, they're wanting to double the size of their company from a $3 million company to a $6 million company. And if we take that 20% profit margin also and add that in here, 20% is $1.2 million in profit. And measurables on that one would be 400 roof replacements in 1 year's time. Okay, so let's talk about quarterly rocks, right? What are we going to do in the first quarter of 2023? Because we're building this out at the end of 2022. So the future date is real easy on that one. That's 3/31/2023 revenue on that one. So if they want to be at a $6 million range, we really need to be hitting 600,000, right, in this first quarter. And we decided as a team that typically for first quarter accounts for about 10% of their annual revenue, right? Because it's a little bit slower. Quarter 2, quarter 3 account for about 80%. And then quarter 4 account for another 10% of annual revenue. So, knowing that, we're going to put in $600,000 in here for 10% of that annual revenue. All right. We're going to keep this all the same, 20% profit margin. We're going to shoot for that. And $120,000 is what that 20% is. Okay. Measurables on that is 60 roofs here for our measurables. All right. All right. So our next step then are to actually set our goals. So when I talked with Acme Roof, right, in order to achieve this right here, right, the first and most important thing that they needed were locations in every single market, every major metro area in Texas. Acme Roofing is based in Texas. So we want to make sure that we have locations in every single major metro area, right? And, achieving this right here of 1,000 roof replacements. Okay. All right. Next is identify and purchase for roofing companies, because there's no way that they're going to be able to achieve this goal up here without actually just purchasing for roofing companies versus just trying to go into each market on their own, right? Sometimes it's easier to go in and purchase companies. Okay. With all of those companies, we need to be generating 1,000 leads or 4,000 leads, right? For 8,000 roof replacements, because their current sales conversions are 25%, all right, from a cold lead to into an actual sale. All right. Okay. And then last but not least on their list is that they need to hire a new CEO to replace Bob, because Bob is almost 50 years old and he is ready to start working his way out of the company. And he figures that by 3 years, by the 3 year picture, he might be on that way to where he can elevate, right? Or someone from like maybe his ops manager, right? Or he can just literally hire somebody else, okay? Or hire one of the CEOs from one of these other 4 companies here, okay, that they purchased. Okay, so next is our 1 year plan. All right, so what do we need to be looking at in order to achieve this goal, plus maybe some of these goals over here? Okay, so one is that they decided that they needed to open a location in DFW area. They are currently in the Houston market, and they figured that they will have their first venture will have to be opening a location up in DFW. All right. Next is identify and purchase one roofing company, right? In this 1 year, in this next year, right? If they're going to be over here with 4 roofing companies that they purchased, at least one of those need to be done in the next year. Okay. The next is how many leads do we need to generate? That was the question. So we backtracked on 400 roof replacements. With their current sales process, they need 1,600 leads in order to achieve that. Okay. Next, they decided that they wanted to elevate somebody to their COO level, right? They don't really have a COO. Bob is kind of doing a lot of the work on his own. So in order to get more stuff done, he's going to have a chief operating officer. And so he identified in our meeting that Joseph is kind of his right-hand man, and he might as well in the next year just elevate him up to the COO level. Okay. Another thing that we identified is that they're not on EOS yet. They're not on Entrepreneur's operating system. So we added to their year's goals to fully implement EOS, right? So there are 7 main steps in order to do that. The first and foremost is to do exactly this right here, to create the vision, right, for the company, in the fact that every single person in the company knows that they want to get to this point, right, by 2027. So there are all sorts of other steps that are involved, including like documentation, having the right person in the right seat, and meeting on a regular basis with leadership teams and every other team underneath them, meeting on a regular basis. Okay. There's a lot to it, right? But they want to make sure that they fully implement that. And then the last but not least, they want to fully implement the roofingsites.com 4R roofing marketing system. This is super important to their success, and this will help them get the amount of leads that they need. They need 1,600 leads in this next year. And so we want to make sure that they are fully implemented onto the 4R marketing system. All right. Next, quarterly rocks. So why is it called a rock? Before we jump into this, all right. Rocks were identified in the Rockefeller Habits, the book, The Rockefeller Habits. And these were identified as, the Rockefellers worked in 12-week sprints, right? They chunked up basically their big goals for the year into quarters. What would they have to do in order to achieve the big goals? They would have to do these things over here in the quarters. Okay. So they call them rocks because they were built by the Rockefellers, right? That's just what they called them. Okay. So each quarter, every single person in your organization should have a rock. There should be rocks for the whole organization. There should be rocks for each division of the organization. And there should be rocks for each individual, like big things that they have to do in order to push the company forward for this next quarter. Okay. So, all right. The first thing that we identified is that if they were going to open a location in the DFW area, they really kind of needed to start researching these companies and potentially who they would potentially purchase, in the DFW area. We also identified on the marketing side of things that we would really need to redesign their website in this first quarter because their website was not converting very well. It was converting at about a 2% conversion rate. So out of 100 visitors, only 2 might convert. With a website redesign, we could easily get that up to a 10% conversion rate. Okay, so out of every 100 visitors, we would convert 10. All right, if we can achieve that, then that is a very high conversion website. Okay. Next, on the marketing side of things, we decided, you know what, we're going to have to start SEO campaigns, search engine optimization campaigns. We're going to need to get you ranked on Google before your prime season. So this is the optimum time to do that. So this is set for Q1 of this next year. Okay. Additionally, if we want to get these 60 roof replacements with their current conversion rate, we're going to do the math here. We're going to simply divide that 60 roof replacements by their known sales conversion rate of a lead to a sale of 25%. And we're going to need 240 leads in this next quarter. And in order to do that, right, beyond SEO, which is a long-term strategy, the very first thing that we recommended was to start some Google ad campaigns, right? We're going to have to start building their list, start building their leads, their lead flow coming into the company. And so that was one of the easiest way to do that. The next thing that we identified early on is that they really needed to fix their reputation. They only had reviews on Google My Business, which is now actually called Google Business Profile, but they only had 10. And they've been in business for close to 20 years. So in that 20 years, you would figure that they would have more than 10 reviews. So we're going to build them a reputation machine, and we're going to make sure that they get another 25 to 30 reviews in this next quarter at least. We want to get them upwards to 100, possibly 200 in the next year to 2 years. All right. And then the next step that we identified is that they need to do the very first stages of EOS, Entrepreneur's Operating System, which is right person, right seat, vision, and meetings on a regular basis. Okay. So this is a big part of the vision right here. And the next part is right person in the right seat, is just identifying and creating an organizational chart and making sure you have the right person that gets it, wants it, and has the capability to do that job in that seat. And then they need to meet on a regular basis. It's that simple. Okay. These are all very simple things to do, but very few companies actually do that. Okay. All right. So I know this was super quick. It wasn't a very long video because it's actually going through this and discussing it and going through this with your leadership team actually does take a lot longer. We worked off of some dummy data here, but this is how you should build your goals. Okay. These are, if you notice, these are all SMART, right? They are very specific. They are measurable, right? So like, for instance, this is measurable, generate 1,600 leads, right? If we didn't achieve that goal, we're going to know it real quick. And if we're not on track to achieve that goal, we're going to know that really quick too. Okay. Certain other things, are they achievable? Is 1,600 leads in 1 year achievable? Absolutely. Especially if you're in 2 different markets, Houston and DFW. And, it's all of these things are super important to do. Okay. Some of the other things that we didn't really want to talk about is that on your rocks and your goals, right? The goal here is to achieve at least 80% of those every quarter and every year, right? And to continue moving forward every single quarter to achieve those goals. All right. That's all that I have. All right. Well, hopefully you got something out of this. I know it was quick and fast. We used dummy data that I had already kind of made up, but this is a very common framework. These are very common goals that I see with my roofers, in ensuring that they hit their goals every single year and making sure that they actually achieve their big, hairy, audacious goal is super important to me. In fact, my big, hairy, audacious goal, my personal goal, as well as the goal of roofingsites.com, is to help 100 roofing companies double in size by December 31st, 2027. Okay. Is your company going to be one of those? I hope so. My name is Chris Hunter, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of roofingsites.com. I am also the author of this book right here. If you are a roofer, okay, you need this in your hands. This is the ultimate guide to digital marketing for roofers. I will send this to you for free. All you have to do is click on the link below in the description of this video and go and give me an address to send it to, and I will send it to you completely for free. This is the past 20 years of knowledge that I have in the digital marketing industry, as well as working for roofers. And if you're struggling with your marketing, this is the easiest way for me to help you double the size of your business. All right. That's all that I have today. Have a great day and have a very, very Merry Christmas. Thanks, y'all.